Hey guys, how you doing? This is Madhvi from TaroticallySpeaking.com, and here I am. I'm doing my second video for the Tarot and Tea Tuesday collaboration. Thank you, V, for for tagging me in. This actually, I don't know. It's this although this is just my second sort of video in this collaboration. I found myself feeling very positive and motivated when I sat down to do this. I know it's been a couple of weeks that I haven't done any videos from any of the prompts. The first video I made, and then just 2 weeks went by, and and this reading that I'm going to be doing today is kind of partly the prompt that I'm going to do today, and partly the reason why I didn't make the two videos or the videos the past 2 weeks. I know that the challenge doesn't push you, it doesn't say that, hey, you have to make a video, but I felt that it was something interesting that I could do this, right? Anyhow, uh, as you can see, I'm going to be using my Muse Tarot today, and I've got it all, spread out. Thought it looked very nice. And this is the cup that I'm going to be using for my beverage today. And this cup has a little bit of a story because, we are all about stories, right? This cup it was given to me, it was gifted to me by my boyfriend. And at first, I was like so happy, because it has the Wonder Woman logo on it. And I was like, oh, so, I was like, oh, am I like the Wonder Woman of your life? Or, you know how it is. I tend to get a little dramatic, a little over romantic. And he was like, well, so, he's like, the reason I got this cup for you is because, you have a tendency to just basically stand and wonder. You always have that look on your face like, I wonder what I'm doing here. I wonder what's happening here. You have that look. I mean, that he was so. He likes to always say such nasty and mean things. I know all he wants to do is basically play pranks on me, but then he does these sweet things also. So he knows I like Wonder Woman. So it's all of that wrapped up. So I like this cup because again, tarot for me is also a doorway to wonder. Again, play on words, right? A doorway to wonder, a doorway to understand all the different things that I am well always wondering about, like he said. So I'm gonna go make myself a nice cup of tea, or maybe I'll just drink some water out of this cup today, and I will be right back. I'm going to be talking about some very interesting tips for how to do readings that I have kind of, gathered in my experience thus far. And then I'm going to go and do a reading because, hey, why not? Be right back. All right. So, in today's video, as you can see, the title is Tarot Tips, and I haven't really scripted it out or thought about it, which is interesting. So as you can see, I'm going to be using this very lovely deck called the Muse Tarot. So I'm just going to put the box aside. Uh, well, a little bit about this, why this deck is because somehow this deck, I have connected with the images of this deck so amazingly that I decided to make it my personal deck, right? So that is the thing. So when I'm doing a reading that is so deeply for myself, very likely I'm going to be pulling this deck out. I don't use this for my professional readings. So there's tip number one, because if you're going to be reading for other people, even if it's not of like in a professional way, if you're going to be reading for other people, I recommend that you have a deck that you have for yourself and a deck that you have for everybody else. Just because I think sometimes some images are very much for you. And if you really feel that, oh, this deck, like I used to do that. I have the Light Seers Tarot also. I got both these decks in the Kickstarter. I've reviewed them on my channel. You can go see that. But what I did was I love that Light Seers deck too. But I was like, no, I want this for myself. But then I also wanted to use that for my clients because the images are lovely. But in my heart, it was like, okay, I can, share this with my clients. So what I ended up doing is when the mass market version of that deck came out, I bought that mass market version and I use that for doing readings with my client. And I use the Kickstarter deck for myself when I do readings for myself. It's silly. It is silly, but that's how it is. It's like, this is for me. This is only for me. Okay, that's tip number one. If you're going to be reading for other people, keep a deck just for yourself. Okay, I'm going to just put this box aside. And this is, I guess, tip number two, how to mix your cards, because I do read with reversals. For me, reversals are a way to sort of, away from the universe rather, or a message from the universe saying, hey, stop, look, pay attention, because the moment a card is reversed, immediately your attention is drawn to it, right? So that is tip number two, I guess, use reversals. No, actually, tip number two is this is how I shuffle. This is how I shuffle. Now, if you don't, this way I get, all cards properly mixed up, upright, reversed, everything. But if you don't use reversals, then I guess you can just, shuffle, like I'm going to be doing in a little bit. You can just, like how you would shuffle a regular deck of cards is how you would shuffle it. So then that brings me to tip number three. Most people have this question, how do you ask a question, right? They have a question about it, like how do you ask the question of the cards? And it's actually very straightforward, very simple. There's, I would say, maybe two ways to go about it. One is you can, a question is essentially you're kind of having an intention in your mind that I want to know more about this, or I want to know an answer to this, question in my head. So you can think about that question whilst you're, shuffling your cards, mixing them like I was doing earlier, or when I'm shuffling them like this, whichever works for you. Another alternative method, and I think, and personally, this is the method I prefer. Again, depends. I do both. I don't like hold myself to one method per se. Is basically I hold the cards in my hand like this, and I say that question in my mind or sometimes out loud, clearly and confidently and all of that, and until I feel like, okay, the cards have heard me, kind of a thing. So that is tip number three, how to ask a question. Just focus either while shuffling, because it's a repetitive action. It gives you a sort of, it focuses you, or you just hold the cards in your hand, close your eyes, and say the question out loud in your head. And the moment you feel, okay, yes, that question, you can even repeat it if you like in your head over and over till you feel that peace inside of your heart which says, yes, the cards have heard you. Third, how to begin a reading, or is this tip number four? I've lost count, forget it. The next tip is how to how do you go about beginning the reading, or are like what, every reader has their own rituals, right? Many of us work with candles, many of us have crystals. I like to do a mix and match of both. Some of us have incense, some of us like to work with all of that, all of the above. You can have bells ringing, incense around you, maybe put on some soft soothing music, give the whole feel. Now, many people think those are gimmicks, but I personally feel that's not the case. The thing is, these are rituals that you have created for your own sake, for your own comfort. So you can add, subtract to those rituals as you feel comfortable, right? The reason is to get you to be in that comfortable space where you can focus and these rituals, these actions, they create an air of sacredness, of sanctity, of because what you're going to do, divination is consulting or connecting with the divine on that level, right? Where you're asking that the universe guide you or answer your questions and queries through these cards. So for that, you need to be in that space, in that frame of mind, right? So these rituals that you do before and after and during the reading, they aren't just there for being gimmicky. They are there to serve a purpose. They are there to help you focus. They are there to help you hone your energy into the task that you are doing, and which is a sacred task, and you have a sacred purpose there at that point. So that's the purpose that these rituals serve. And in fact, in any setting of where there is prayer, where there is, where you have to sort of connect with the divine, you will see an abundance of rituals. No matter what culture you hail from, you will have these rituals. You will have, prayers, mantras, and all other stuff going on. All of that basically at the root of it all serves that same purpose. It is there to give you a discipline, a focus, and a means of connecting, because at that point what you're doing is sacred. That space, that time, it's all sacred, and in order to maintain that sanctity, it is there to bring you into that pure connection space. Okay, so the next tip, of course, because I don't remember which number, I have lost count, be sure to have very clear questions. Okay, the clearer your questions, the clearer the answers will be. It's that simple. Next tip, understand the context of what it is that you're doing. So that it requires active listening. So when you're with your client or your friend or whoever it is that you're reading for, listen to that person and understand that person's issues and problems, and try to figure out a question that because you're working with your cards, you know how they respond to you, how they talk to you, right? And again, this differs from person to person. I have seen this, right? Because we all walk into this with our own sort of framework, our own mindset. So our cards will talk to us in a language that we understand. So if you have a certain approach to things, then that is how you would frame your questions. And that is how the cards will also answer you. So, as long as the communication happens, I say go for it. Right? So again, no question is a silly question in my estimation. I've personally gone through that whole gamut up and down, and this profession, what it does to you is it genuinely teaches you to be non-judgmental, and in the purest and the most this I don't know, it's like you go through it, it holds a very harsh mirror to your face, because the moment you become judgmental, the cards are like, oh really, judgmental much? Should I talk about your life and your problems like that? Should I think about it? Then you're like, oh no. Oh no. So you know and that brings me to my next tip. The cards are a reflection of you. So your cards will reflect your approach. Someone else's cards will reflect their approach. So it's all of these things, and that brings me actually to the reason for today's reading. So I guess we did a tarot tips part. Now we are in the reading part, where I don't know which prompt it is. It's like basically do a reading. So I'm gonna tell you something that's been going on. As you might all be aware, we are all of us going through this pandemic of COVID-19, due to which I think many of us are homebound in self isolation, so that We can practice social distancing and maybe flatten the curve and stop the spread of the virus and all of that. And my mom's a heart patient, so for me it's very personal because she is also an asthma she I mean asthma patient. So the point is, she has asthma, she has heart problems. So ultimately she really falls into the vulnerable category, and therefore I have this thing. I suddenly felt that it is a massive responsibility on my shoulder to to remain isolated, so that she's working from home and I've always been working from home. So for her it's a new, partly a new thing. For me it's like every day. But then suddenly, right, and here comes the context, right? Suddenly what happened was, uh I started feeling very, very depressed. And I was like, what's going on? Because literally, there was no change in my lifestyle, or schedule, but I was feeling super depressed. Another thing, coincidentally, that was happening was that I was getting ready to launch a digital product on my website. So I was fiddling around with the plugin and trying to figure it out and setting up the shopping cart and playing with this and playing with that and all that going on. And then suddenly this happens, and then I'm like, is this the right time for me to be launching a product like this? I mean, people are going through tough times. Is it okay for me to be selling something in such a marketplace? So I decided to hold on for a bit. So suddenly here I was, unable to go ahead with my, say, business plans. Then here I was sort of feeling the pressure that, hey, I have to make sure everything is okay in my house with my mom and everything. And again, on the surface of things, my life had not really changed, but deep down inside, all these things were going on. And maybe that is why suddenly I was like very depressed. Or maybe it is because, up until now, I know even if I'm working from home, if I feel like I want to take a walk, I can. If I feel like I want to step out, go get something from the store, I can. And now suddenly I can't, unless certain situations or certain circumstances are met. So whatever it is, all these three reasons coming together, or any single one, I was all super depressed. So here I am trying to, this is where I run to my cards. Okay, this is where I run to my card. This is where a session, or a sit down with my cards helps me. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to hold on to my cards. I'm going to send all my questions to them, make a fan and ask the questions, pull the cards out. Okay, and then we'll see what the cards are telling me. And again, this is free form, there's no specific spread. I'm just going to ask a question, pull a card. All right. Okay, so give me a moment. I'll probably fast forward through this section and bring you to the point where I'm pulling the cards. All right, so I've made a sort of a fan here with my cards. So this is another, you could say, a tip. uh, you can make a bunch of the whole situation and put that intention in your cards, that answer all the questions as they come up. So that's what I've done. So the first question, obviously, I want to ask is, what is the root? Because until you understand the root cause of this, it makes no sense to figure out the cure, right? So what is the root cause of this sort of depression that I am feeling? And again, I'm just going to pull as many cards as I feel like pulling. So here we go. Okay. So we have, here we go, the Muse of Inspiration, and the Muse of Materials. These two, you could say, the kings of this deck, actually. Inspiration is Wands, Materialist Pentacles, right? And these are the two kings, uh, that you could say are the root cause. Now, kings, now because I'm reading for myself, correct? Let me have these cards here so you can see them clearly. I'm reading for myself. So these kings both represent aspects of my own personality that are clearly not having a good day. Because the question we asked was, why am I feeling, what is the root cause of this sort of, why am I feeling so down and depressed right now? See, the king of inspiration and the king or muse of materials. Inspiration, clearly, that doesn't need explanation. It's all, maybe the desire, sorry, the desire that I had to, say, launch my digital product. That inspired moment where I was like, yeah, ready to launch, that kind of a thing, right? That could be, that is that guy or that aspect of me who is ready to take charge and follow through on the inspiration, is obviously not feeling happy about said situation. And then the muse of materials. Now, materials can be material, things like money, and materials can also talk about real life, regular, everyday matters. And so I think, like I said, it's a combination of all of the above, the practical issues that are going on in my life, and the inspiration that, I was ready but not unable, not able to sort of take it to the next level. So that's, again, this is, again, I don't know, one more tip. When you're reading for yourself, it is very, very essential that you distance from yourself, right? So now you'll occasionally see me when I'm doing this reading, I'll refer to myself as she or client. This is my way of sort of distancing from myself. You could try this out. You could, adapt a persona, so to speak, and say, hey, I'm a tarot reader right now, and I'm reading for Madhvi, right? So I know I'm reading for myself, but I'm imagining as if I'm sitting there right in front of me, and I'm the reader reading for her. Hmm? It's just, a trick sort of to play with your mind that helps you detach. Okay, so coming back to the reading, this is the root cause. Okay, so then how do I fix it? Simple? Really? You think it's that simple? Well, let the cards find out. Since we have two over here, I'm going to pull one for each. How about that? So to fix this upset muse of inspiration, and then this upset sort of muse of materials. Let me do it this way. Oh, the root. Let me do it this way. How do I fix these? Now, so for inspiration, cards are saying 10, the wheel. So just, let that cycle happen, right? Go through the cycle or let the cycle happen. One way or the other, you're going to have to jump onto that wheel. That, once this cycle is complete, or somewhere along the way, you have to jump in and you have to become part of the cycle. This is also the wheel of fortune, right? So, this is how it is. Just do it. Basically, I think the cards are saying that in order for me to not feel so down and out about this product that I'm thinking of launching, instead of getting all worked up and saying, is this the right time? Just get on with it, time will tell. And as far as the practical concerns that I'm weighed down by, the card here is Hermit reversed. This is so interesting. See, Hermit, let me show you. This is the card. He's all inside of himself, right? He's introspecting. He's all alone. That wisdom is there, and he's introspecting. He's all inside his head trying to figure things out. Reverse, this card is saying, step out of your head. You're worried about these things, yes, but it's, it's going to eat you up, and if you keep on going with it. Step out of that space, step out of that worried space, step out of that space. Just come out of there and just allow life to happen. Okay, you have the wisdom, you have the understanding of how to cope with this situation, and you will be in a position to apply that wisdom pretty soon. So step out of that space of looking inward and always sort of gnawing on things and saying what's going on, what's going on, what's going on. Stop worrying, step out of your mind. There you go. So simple, is it? So now my question is, all right, now that you have told me what the root cause of the problem is and how the problem needs, what is the solution for it, let's ask the cards, how do I implement these solutions? The wheel. Interesting. And for the Hermit reversed, how interesting. All right. So here, in order to implement this solution, see, the cards are saying, let it come forth, give birth, allow it to manifest, allow it to come into the world. Because the Empress is the mother, she's birthing the worlds here in this image, isn't she? And for me to step out of my mind, step out of my sort of solitude of thoughts in a way, the cards are saying, in order to do that, come outside, allow the transformation to happen, allow the evolution to happen, allow yourself to grow beyond that worry. Look at that worry, look at that practical worry, practical process as a means to grow. Walk on this road here. Now that this is me getting into the story of this, right? Go walk on this road to the other side and you will grow. How beautiful, how beautiful. And then I guess I want to see how this all works out, because why not? Queen of Inspiration. Page of Inspiration. Right? So this is the Queen of Wands, is a Page of Wands. How this all works out? If I go ahead and launch this, I will feel good. I will feel really good and reconnect with myself. See, from the King, I come back to the Queen. Nice. That's a journey, right? And then if I stop worrying and allow myself to grow as an individual from this process, I will come to be Page of Inspiration. I will come to a place where I will be joyful, happy, creative, not depressed, and sort of, bring cheer into my surroundings, I guess, because that's what the Page of Inspiration does. He's bringing all these beautiful colors and cheerful things into his environment. So wow. this is something, right? Now here's the thing. This is, again, I guess, another tip. When you do readings like these, which are, again, very intensely personal to you and very, very meaningful to you, take a picture, right? And I guess most picture apps will have a way to annotate, because it is very likely if you've got 50 pictures on your phone, you're going to forget what question you had. So if you have a way to annotate on the image itself what the question was, like if there's, say, space here and I can put words in the image over here, I'll type the question in here and keep it there, right? So that way, whenever I look in the picture, I know what question I was asking and what cards came up for what. That is tip number 1 about this, I guess. Another thing is, then you can, whilst this reading is fresh in your mind, right, take that image, maybe keep it open in front of you on your computer or on your phone, and make a journal entry, right? Whether you want to write in a paper, pencil, paper, pen, whatever, journal, or notebook, whatever, or if you have a computer-based journal, right? Doesn't matter. Or whatever way of journaling you feel comfortable with, follow that. and write this down. Even if you don't want to, again, writing is again a very personal journey. You can be descriptive, you can be to the point. Again, this will depend upon your personality, right? So write any which way that you prefer, but journal about this and let it be there. Let it sort of simmer, okay? In a day or two, sometimes it may be weeks or months even, something will bubble up, right? And you will see something brilliant, like an aha breakthrough moment come out of this whole journey. So, I guess if I were to quickly summarize this reading that we have done, the reason I'm feeling blocked or depressed or upset or, sort of is because I'm feeling like my inspirational sort of journey was blocked. I'm also feeling that my practical concerns are sort of overwhelming me, weighing me down. In order to this is the root cause. So in order to treat that, first I have to allow myself to get back on the wheel, get back on track, right? And so allow my inspiration to flow freely back in the cycle. In order for me to get rid of my practical concerns, I should step out of my head and get out of my own way, so to speak. Stop thinking, overthinking, and apply that wisdom that I have already received from the universe. And that will what was the next part? How to do that, and that will accomplish, I guess, or rather the guidance how to do that, right? The root cause, how to solve it, and how to implement that solution. There you go, I remembered. Was to give birth, allow this to come forth, launch the product, which I will, by the way, stay tuned. Then here is allow yourself to evolve. As you apply this wisdom, you will evolve, you will grow as a person, you will become stronger, wiser, all of that. And what will be the outcome? This will be the outcome. I will feel more connected with my inspirational vibes, my energies, more creative, more sexy. And the page of inspiration will bring joy, happiness, color, cheer, all of that. And his own personality. I will feel lighter and happier. All of this will manifest in my world. Wow. So again, I could have easily skipped this sort of prediction part here. Here's another tip. I could have skipped this prediction part, I suppose. But sometimes knowing what's gonna show up on the other side can be helpful. Now, right now these were good cards. What if these were not so good cards? Then those cards would also hold within them the guidance to fix this situation. Okay, that's how I see it. That even when cards show up reversed or negative cards show up, within those card images itself, you have the answers for the problems that they are trying to sort of depict. And again, those cards would have shown some issues. If let's say we had negative cards show up here, those would have shown us issues, problems that needed to, still needed work. So it's not necessarily always a bad answer. It's a clue that, okay, whatever it is that you're doing, you need to put in more work here. Okay, so one final piece of guidance, I guess, from the cards. Seven of inspiration. Ta-da! Right? Control this energy, control all this. I would say, look at this one. This is a very intense card here, right? This is your Seven of Wands compared to your Seven of Wands. So what this card is saying is that, all kinds of things will always be coming at you, right? Be it ideas, be it, practical concerns, be it worries, be it all of these, right? Remain focused on the central core of who you are. Remain strong within yourself and manage all these with your will, with your strength, and you will be able to make something beautiful and creative come out as a result of this. There you go. See, as I was saying earlier, sometimes a difficult card might show up, and what do you have? What you can learn something from there, and this is a tough card, 7 of Wands, right? Final piece of guidance: don't get overwhelmed. Stay focused. Stay within yourself in that way. Stay strong inside of you. Stay focused to the central core of who you are, and you will manage everything. You will be able to manage everything. That is what the cards are saying. Like, finally, you will be okay. Even though it looks tough, it's not necessarily that tough if you stay strong. That's what the cards are telling me here. Oh, wow. Okay, so I suppose that is a bunch of tips and ideas, and couched again in the reading a little bit, and also a little demonstration of how you can connect with the cards. And even it doesn't have to be something like very very, or rather, the moment you have some very essential deep queries going on even in your life, or even when you're feeling down on yourself, the cards can tell you how, why, and you can have access to the answers. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's not that obvious. Whatever it is, don't let the problem hold you back from solving it. Take a breath, look at the card images, and just be playful for that one moment when you're looking at the cards, and then automatically the doors of wisdom open up, and the answers come tumbling out. Okay, I mean, sure, the question is serious, the context is serious, and all of that, but within that context also, you can still be a little playful. That's not disrespectful. That's just you opening the floodgates of creativity, and creativity and intuition sort of work together. They walk out together from those gates, and then everything starts to make sense. Just look at the image, see the story that they are creating. There's this beautiful sort of work of art, really, that is spread out in front of you, and you can figure it out. That's your job, right? To translate all this into everyday words. Wow. Thank you. And yep, that's my final tip, right? Once your spread is done and you pick up your cards, I'm leaving this like this because I want to take a picture. But once your spread is done and you pick up your cards, hold them in your hand, and this is a great way to close out your reading. I guess this is my final tip, because when you're done with the reading, when you're done with consulting your cards, don't just abandon them, throw them and run off. No, be grateful. See, gratitude has a lot of power, right? So ultimately, when your cards have shown you the mirror, they have shown you the guidance, they've given you the answers, now it's your time to say thanks. And that's all. That's all this closing process is. Just hold the cards in your hand and say thank you. Thank you for guiding me, helping me, showing me the way through this. Thank you. Right? I mean, if you have to compare this to any other ritual, any other prayer session, right? It always ends again. At the end of every ritual, there will again be a little tiny ritual to kind of close things out, right? This is like that. This is sacred. This is beautiful. This is connecting with the divine. So when the divine has guided you, when your mind, your heart, your subconscious has guided you, at the end of it, you close it and you say thanks. Okay, so I guess what I've done here is like a mixture of tips and a reading, several tips and a reading, and I hope you like this video. I hope this this whole process makes sense, it resonates, and I hope you'll understand what this reading was all about. I hope it makes sense to you as well. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And all of you who are watching because of as participants of V's challenge, I hope this video resonates with all of you as well. And I would really love to hear your thoughts and your opinions. You guys are just wonderful. I loved how we communicated with the previous videos. I would love to hear your inputs on this one as well. Also, I would like to take this opportunity to thank V for sort of having me in this sort of challenge. It's brilliant. Thank you so much. I love your prompts so much. It'll be quite interesting working my way through them, and very enjoyable. So thank you, V, for including me in this. And again, like, share, subscribe, follow me on all the social media places that you like, and I will see you again in my next video. Until then, stay good, be good, and play with your cards. Bye now.